Checker, eh?
How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the Sharp Hand Path. I'm your host, Jesse Morgan. Beside me, we have a special guest. This is my son, Nixon Wrightmore.
Hello.
And they are going to be helping me out here with this video. They have been doing Goju Ryu karate since September of 2023, so last year. They've recently got a stripe, so that's pretty cool. Their first blue stripe. I believe that was in January or February. And then in the end of March, I believe it was, we ended up doing Nixon's very first board breaking. And that was their first board there. If you want to hold it up to the camera. That was signed by our sensei, Sensei Dave Shaw. So basically what we're going to do in this video is just kind of watch back the footage and talk about how it was for Nixon for the very first board break. Before we get into the first video though, how did you feel about the board break before going there? Were you excited to do the board break going there? Were you nervous?
I was very excited. At first I was like, I think this is going to be hard, but then I tried it and I'm like, this is very easy. Compared to how thick, that's very thick.
Yeah, they definitely didn't give the kids thin boards. It's the same thickness for adults. The only difference is for the kids, some of the boards were a little smaller, I guess. It was a little bit easier to go through for some of the smaller kids, but Nixon got basically the adult size boards.
Yeah.
I'd say the major adult size boards might have been like an inch or two wider this way, but other than that, Nixon was given the choice to do the adult size board. So what we're going to do, we're going to watch Nixon's first board break and kind of give a commentary on what they're thinking before they got it and just kind of show what was going on in the video. You guys will see the video and hear us talking in the background, but we're just going to watch it on our end and kind of talk about how we feel through this. So here we go. This is the first board break and Sensei kind of talking Nixon into how about approaching the board break.
You are a very strong person, so I'm going to give you...
So that's Sensei grabbing up the board for them and kind of giving them a little advice on how to stand for it.
That's what I want to do.
Yeah, they're kind of trying to make sure that they're going to hit hard enough to go through the board.
Push. Okay, pull way back and drive it. 100. Nice.
And that was the first break.
Yeah.
Very cool. So how did you feel like you were going to do before you hit the board? Did you think you were going to break it right away, or did you feel you might have to hit it a couple of times?
I expected to hit it a couple of times. I see mostly everyone have a second try and they got it.
Yeah, Nixon saw a couple of their fellow students have a couple of goes before it was finally their turn to break a board, and a couple of them were struggling. It was probably easy to assume that you might have to do one or two strikes. Did you think you were going to break it on the second try when you did, or was that a surprise?
It was a surprise. I was like, what in the world?
Did not breaking it the very first strike dissuade you from doing it, or did it make you amped up to want to break it more?
I wanted to break it more.
Yeah. I could tell you really gave it your all in that elbow smash. Very cool. So let's go on to the second break. So the first strike was an elbow strike, and that's what Sensei Dave gets all the kids to do for the very first one, unless they've got some sort of experience, like if they're already a yellow or orange or whatever belt higher. But all the white belts and all the younger students, he advised them to do an elbow strike because it's the easiest to break the board and builds the most confidence that way.
Yeah.
So with the second board break here, I'm going to play it from the beginning. There we go. So he's grabbing it out of the bin now, and he's going to ask you which way you want to hit, I think. Oh, and that's another thing too. Senpai Devin gets to hold it for you.
Feel it first.
Yeah, they get you to feel it out and get your... Wow!
First try.
So yeah, you're pretty excited about that. They normally try to get you to do a couple of lineup shots before you go for it, and then on the third one, go for the big strike through. You struck through with the pretty much right after sizing it up. It looked like you had a pretty surprised look on your face once it actually went through. Yeah, right there, you're like, I did that. So yeah, I guess you look pretty surprised that you actually did it with your first try.
Yeah, I was like, how did I do that?
Yeah, no, that's pretty good. It's not the most intuitive thing to break a board. You think you might have to use more power than you've got, or you might have to do it a couple of times depending on which body part you use. But yeah, no, it was nice to see that you did it with one palm strike, and it definitely shows that you're excited here. And Sensei looks like they're pretty happy that you're successful on your break. Did Sensei ask you which strike you wanted to do before this, or did they just suggest to do the palm strike?
He asked which one I wanted to do, so I chose the palm strike.
Oh, okay. This is obviously a year away, but if you're going to do another board break next March or whenever it comes up, do you have a way you think you'd want to break the boards that time?
Headbutt.
You'd want to try a headbutt?
Yeah. My friend Nicholas did it. He'll leave him with a little headache.
You left him with a bit of a headache. Yeah. The head break for the boards is definitely a little disorienting if you're not expecting it or hit it in kind of a wrong spot. I know it left me a little dazed after it, but I think I walked away without making it look like I was too dizzy. But yeah, it's definitely one that you're not expecting to have the effects that it does. Didn't Nicholas's mom or dad or something not want them to do that one?
Mom, she was like,
don't do it? She didn't want him to do the headbutt?
Nicholas did it anyways. I was like, I'm not sure if you should do that.
Sensei likes to see people do the headbutt one, I think. I guess it amuses them, or they feel like people can break it when they might not feel they have the confidence to break it that way. So yeah, you're going to do a headbutt next time.
Yeah.
Do you think you'll do a punch?
Oh yeah.
So just like a straight reverse punch through one. I think that's a really satisfying board break, just to do a reverse punch through one. Any advice to any young martial artists out there for their first board break?
If you're going to do a board break and you have that one friend that betrayed you, think of them and think about how you're going to punch them right in the face.
It's good to have some extrinsic motivation for breaking the boards. Some of your fellow students seem to not have the gusto in them to want to go straight through the board. They kind of just lightly tapped it and they didn't really want to go all the way through. And Sensei had this whole thing where he's like, if you don't break it this time or the next time, I'm going to send you back to the lineup and you can have a conversation with your board and tell your board that it's going to break on the next try.
Yeah.
And it was really funny.
Yeah.
So next up are a couple of my breaks for yellow belt. This time around, I tried to do something a little different for each one-ish. I'll explain when we get there. So the first one is a reverse punch, but the difference with this one, I'm going to take it to the front of the video and just kind of pause it here. You can kind of see he has two boards as opposed to just one. And last year, I did just one with a reverse punch. So as a yellow belt, I figured I'd try to level up a bit and try two boards, and this is what happened. Start from the beginning again.
You're not starting out easy, eh? No warm-up.
So here, getting in position, sizing it up, and there's the break. Yeah, I was pretty confident that I was going to be able to break through the two boards. I'm not necessarily the fastest puncher, but I am able to get my whole body weight into it. I am able to do the hip generation and all that jazz. So it wasn't too surprising that I broke through two of them, but there's always a chance that the boards might be really, really stiff, or I don't hit it at the right angle, or the boards are too moist, because if they're too moist, they'll bend instead of snapping.
Yeah.
So there was always a chance that I wasn't going to break it, but I feel like if you put in enough power, if you do the proper technique, you use your two front knuckles into the center of the board and follow through, and don't just stop at the surface, you actually punch through the board. I feel like 9 times out of 10 you'll probably be able to break it, even if it's two boards. So yeah, not too surprised with the results of this, but I'm pretty happy with the results of this. I got a big grin on my face because I was looking forward to it too. At the beginning of the video you can kind of see. Yeah, it definitely went all the way through, and I think they kind of drop on his foot. No, in between. Good thing, because boards on the foot would be not so nice.
Ouch.
And I do bow. He picks them up and hands it to me, and then I bow. but the video ends. All right, so that was the first one. Pretty happy that I actually got through the 2 boards with a reverse punch. The second one here, this is where I tried something different. This one is the roundhouse kick. Getting it set up a bit at the beginning of the video here, and then kind of seeing where my foot's gonna go. Sensei's thinking that they're holding it too high for me. I could have kicked that high, but they lower it for me just to be nice. I kind of explained that I'm, I think, sizing it up in my head here.
Mentally noting that I need to go higher.
Oh yeah, mentally noting that I need to go higher. And didn't really hesitate, just kind of followed through. I'm not gonna say I was worried that I wasn't gonna break it. I'd say I was more worried that I was gonna kick Sensei's hands.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times people miss and they'll hit his fingers and stuff. I feel more bad about hitting his fingers than I do about my foot getting split open on the boards. Not that that happens. I got a little bit of a mark afterwards, but right in the center, that's a pretty good hit. I feel like my foot could have been over this way a little bit more because I used a little bit of my toe knuckles into the board. I definitely could have been closer and I could have used my shin more.
Yeah.
But the top of your foot, it's painful to hit, but it's a very hard bony part of your body going through wood. So I feel like even though I could have got a little bit more onto my shin, that was an alright place to break it. Anyone watching this, let me know if that was a proper form or where I should have hit the board. But if I can get that, what we're seeing right now, the image on the screen, that right there, hope I can capture that. I think an okay place to break a board. So that was cool. Glad I actually got to do a kick break this time around. And then the last break was one I did before. I'll explain why I did this, but I'll show the break first. I feel like Sensei just wanted me to feel good about the break after the thing that I tried that didn't really work. But we'll play this video and show you what the break is here. It's going to be a hammer fist, or was it a karate chop? I can't remember. We'll play this. Here we go.
So you don't think I was playing the game though?
It's a little moist. That's why it's letting go through. It's okay.
So I'm lining it up. Oh, okay, so it is a karate chop. Last time I did a hammer fist, so this is technically different. And it goes straight through because I committed, went all the way, and it's only one board. But yeah, it's funny, you can see behind Sensei at the beginning of the shot the bricks he broke. I think he did how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8?
He probably tried to do 8.
Yeah, I think it was 8 bricks that he did a palm strike through. So that's pretty impressive, especially when they're wet. You can tell in this photo here that they're kind of dark, and then the light spots is where the dry part is. But yeah, when things are wet, they don't like to break so easily. They like to bend. So I'd say he did really good. He has broken all 8 bricks or 9 bricks before. I think he did it last year. This year he got through, he did 5 and then did the other 3 right after it. So yeah.
It made a loud thud noise.
They're very heavy. They're very heavy bricks from Home Depot. Alright, so the last thing I guess I'll go over because it's something to learn from. And so what I'm showing you here is a technique where you have to hold up the board and punch through it when you drop it. So it's more of a speed technique. You have to be fast in order to break this, as opposed to just like a powerhouse and using strength to break something straight through. And I did a couple of tries. This was my first one here. I'll play the video. Obviously, I'm not fast enough to break it, but I also feel like the board is a little wet, so it doesn't snap. It's not as brittle when it's wet. It's going to bend around your fist instead of completely snapping. But at the same time, you do need to be quicker than what I'm doing right here. So you can see there that it kind of just bounces off and goes to the right. So I must have hit the far left side of the board when I dropped it instead of the middle. And then it kind of just goes flying.
It looks like it
and
spins.
Flops on the ground. Yeah, so I definitely hit the left side of the board instead of the middle. But either way, it doesn't matter, because if you're not fast enough, it doesn't matter what side of the board, you're not going to break it. So that was the first attempt, and then let's check out the second attempt. Right, so I'm sizing it up again, holding it up here, chambering. Pow. Yeah, so each time, I'm not doing it fast enough, obviously. You need to be a lot quicker.
You hit the bottom and then it like spins something?
Yeah, I hit the bottom left corner. for that one, and I did a third take apparently in this video. But yeah, either way, it doesn't matter which side I hit this. If I had done it as quick as Sensei Dave can hit it, then they would have broken. But after those 3 attempts, Sensei Dave probably felt bad for me and let me do the karate chop. He didn't want me to have low morale. I was fine. You know, I was only yellow belt at this time. This was my second board break ever. Yeah. Doing the whole holding up the board and punching through it with nothing supporting it is a very Bruce Lee thing to do. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen the Legend of Bruce Lee series on Netflix. He discovers how to do the 1-inch punch by holding up a board and kind of going through it. And it took Bruce Lee at least a couple of months to learn how to do that himself. So it's all right. If Bruce Lee had to learn, so do we. Yeah. It's on the list of things to continue to work on in training. Regardless to say, I think we both had fun. Whether it's our first board break or second board break, we can't wait to try it again. Next year, hopefully, as Nixon being a yellow belt, we're going to be doing our belt tests this June, the end of June, the last week of June. Usually the last Thursday in June is when we do the belt tests for Goju Ryu Karate, aka the Budo Club. So yeah, hopefully we'll at least get another stripe for you by then, if not yellow belt, and hopefully I will be orange belt this time next year as well. So yeah, looking forward to that. Is there anything else you'd like to say regarding this coming June and the belt tests? Would you say that you think you're ready, or do you think there's a few things you could be working on to get better for the belt test in June?
I think I can do the belt test.
Oh yes, and that was another thing. Nixon's sibling will be joining us next year as well in September. Xavier will be trying out for Budo, and we'll see if that's an appropriate fit for them. Hopefully we'll have them in martial arts for a year or two, so that it would be cool to see us all one rank difference from each other, eventually being white belt, yellow belt, and orange belt. Yeah. It'd be cool to have Nixon and Xavier in the same class so that they could work with each other and encourage each other to keep going. And Nixon, being the big brother, could teach Xavier how to do the moves and maybe help keep them focused in class, because there's a lot of younger kids in the Budo class that maybe don't pay attention so well. Yeah. So anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this breakdown of board breaking, and I figured I'd include Nixon for their first board breaking, as the Sharp Hand Path isn't just a channel dedicated to my specific personal martial arts journey. It's a channel dedicated to our whole family's martial arts journey. Sometimes it is just me sitting here in front of a camera with you guys though, as not everyone in the family has time to appear. It would take a lot of preparation time. I would like to get more footage of myself with the Iron Leaf martial arts clan, my sister and Shifu Spinner. Hopefully we can do that again this summer and get some footage of us doing some things there. I still want to do an interview with Shifu Spinner and talk about how they got into martial arts, what some of their favorite martial arts are, maybe some of their favorite martial arts films, talk about how they themselves got into it, maybe talk about what they would change in their martial arts journey if they knew what they already knew, etc. And maybe a look into when they're going to open up their own public dojo or dojang, depending on how they want to call it. So yeah, let me know in the comment section if you'd like to see more of the extended Iron Leaf and Kier clan families martial arts journey on here. Do you have kids that are in martial arts? Which martial art do they take? And if you also have a martial arts channel or anything like that, feel free to drop in the comments. I wouldn't mind checking out your guys' journey as well, because it's not just about me, it's about all of us and learning to better ourselves each day. So until next time, Shei, Na Shin, and one on.
We should run. We should hide. We should kick their butts.